But I think if I'm playing this game, I'm also jaded by the fact that I have bet against the Chiefs before, and I feel like every time I fade the Chiefs, it comes back to bite me. But I keep looking at the fact, I look at a couple things here. Number one is we know the Bucs are going to be shorthanded on offense. And this is really about that because how are they going to move the football against this Chiefs defense, which is a top 5 defense? This is the one thing that fascinates me about Kansas City. For all the talk about Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and those delicious cheeseburgers, I actually don't mind that sort of talk. But Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, all these different things that add to the star power on the offensive side of the football. Now they have D-Hop. This defense just quietly for the past couple seasons, Steve Spagnuolo continuing to get it done as the D coordinator, top 5 defense. So even when the Chiefs aren't necessarily blowing up offensively, they don't need to. They just find ways to win. And Patrick Mahomes has not thrown, again, more than 2 touchdowns in a game all season long. That's sort of remarkable. You would not guess that the Chiefs would be undefeated at this point in the season, sitting at 7-0, and Patrick Mahomes' maximum touchdowns in a single game is only 2, but he doesn't have to be that great. When he is great, and I feel like he's going to be due for that because that's how good he is, I feel like we could see a Kansas City explosion on offense. And now that they've added pieces and now that they've gotten some of those injuries out of the way, it's going to take time for this team to gel together offensively. Tonight might be the night. And we know defensively, Todd Bowles is going to want to blitz. That's what he does. And when you blitz Patrick Mahomes, then you could find yourself in a world of trouble. So you take into account the Tampa Bay injuries, the Chiefs defense, and the fact that Patrick Mahomes might have one of those nights, like at some point he's just going to explode. I feel like the Chiefs -9.5 is the right side. It's a lean, but not a play.
I just think that when you're laying 9.5 points, a team can comfortably win and be ahead the entire game, and sometimes they won't even cover. I will say from a matchup standpoint, if there's ever a time for Patrick Mahomes to have a big game, it's against this Tampa Bay defense, who's given up the second most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. But I do think if you're kind of split on a side, and let me tell you, betting on NFL sides is probably the toughest thing to do when it comes to betting, just because the lines are so sharp. You could probably make a case for betting on the NBA because that's kind of a crapshoot. But I feel like there are better plays to be had in this game. Let's talk about the total for a second, because if you're super hard on the Chiefs defense being able to kind of crush Tampa Bay here and their lack of weapons, it feels like the under would be a solid play. Now, maybe you could say Tampa Bay's defense has given up some big numbers to opponents, but I still feel like the handicap is Kansas City is going to run the ball if they're up big, and they're not going to be trying to put up a 51 spot. They're not the Lions. I feel like they just want to win and get out of this game. I think the under is probably the play if you're looking at a total.
Yeah, that's where I would lean. I actually like this better than a side. Even though I will say, if you like Kansas City and you like numbers, Patrick Mahomes 13-5 against the spread in his last 18 games against the NFC. Yeah, I would go under as well. Again, Chiefs, top 5 defense in all of football. I just don't know. I don't know how Tampa Bay is going to move the football here. I think that's the thing that I keep coming back to. And so the Chiefs don't necessarily have to score a ton of points just to be able to beat Tampa Bay. I want to see the Bucs generate offense without Godwin and Evans. That's what I want to see. Maybe it's going to be Cade Otton. Maybe it's going to be Rachaad White. Maybe they'll find a way to do that and to stay in this game. But ultimately, I really don't see it. It has ticked down a little bit from where it opened at 46, now sitting at 45.5. So the number is moving in the direction of the under. That's where the money is trickling in. But I think that would be my lean as well. I like the under better than I do a side, actually.
Let me ask you a same game teaser question. If you like the Chiefs in this one, you bump them down to -3, and then you bump up the total to 51.5 and hit the under. Is that a play worth looking at?
I like that a lot. Don't give me plays at the end of the show that I like when I've already decided what I'm going to bet on, Chelsea.
You're the parlay king. You got to throw one out there. It's been a while.
I got to get back on that. I was doing so well with those parlays, and I got away from it. I don't know what happened to me. I got disenchanted. I got distracted. Where did I go wrong? This is a good one. You might talk me into this bad boy. Oh, man.
Got like
Chelsea.
5 minutes.
I know. I've got 5 minutes to decide. I think that's the way to go. Are you going to do that? Let me ask you, because you have your own. I'm not the one with a whole segment on teasers. So are you going to play this? What would you say? If I decide to play it, what would you say is the sabotage factor?
I think the sabotage factor always is that same game teasers always feel like they are so easy. But let me tell you, trying to find an angle on both a side and a total, it sounds easy in practice, but then at the end of the game, you could be rooting for opposite things.
Yeah.
Because imagine, say the Bucks are leading, but then you need the under to hit, so you're rooting for two different things in the game. So it's tough to thread the needle sometimes. I think for me, I'm going to stick with the player prop in this game. And I think from a prop perspective, if you have a lot of injuries on one side, that's where you can find value on some of these props because, by process of elimination, somebody has to catch the ball. So looking at the Bucks, we know Chris Godwin's out. We know Mike Evans is out. Both those guys were the primary targets for Baker Mayfield. So now it has been passed to Cade Otton, the tight end for the Bucks this season. In the last 2 games has had double-digit targets in each of those. Went for 81 yards against the Falcons. Put up 100 spot against Baltimore, and now he gets a juicy fantasy matchup against Kansas City, who is giving up the second most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. So his number this tonight is 50.5. I'm going to go over for Cade Otton tonight. It's obviously a game that's supposed to be a losing game script for Tampa Bay. They're going to have to throw the ball a bit. 50.5 feels like a very gettable number for the top target in Tampa Bay.
I'm going to go, if I can find, it's really juicy, so I got to keep looking during the break. I'm going to go Cade Otton, but I'm going to go over 4.5 receptions. I think I like that even better, but man, it's crazy juicy right now. Oh my God, I'm looking at BetMGM. It's minus 175, so I got to look around.
What's Chiefs money line?
Chiefs
Can
money
you put
line?
it with that?
Ooh, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. You're talking me in all these bad. Chiefs money line right now is minus 450. So we've seen the number tick down. If you're looking at the spread, it has gone from Chiefs minus 9.5 now to Chiefs minus 9. Chiefs money line is minus 1 or minus 450, I should say. Then maybe you parlay that with Cade Otton. Maybe I'll do that. You're going to talk me into it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. You just talked me into it just now, live. I'm going to do it, and we're going to see what happens. I'll look for a better number if I can find Cade Otton over 4.5 receptions, because if they're going to be targeting him all night. Like, I think both of those plays, over his yardage play and over his receptions total, is both of those I feel like are strong plays.